who do you project the top 5 teams, the top 5 teams in the Big Ten to be over the course of the next 3 years? Now, with that being said, whatever criteria you want to use to answer that question, more power to you. Since we're doing this show and having a back and forth, obviously we got to tell you our factors. I'm factoring in leadership / leadership stability. Like, hey, is that head coach going to be there for the course of the next 3 years? If he's not, maybe then I'm making this list. Also the roster. What do you have in-house to build off of? And then your ability to acquire talent, whether it be the portal or on the recruiting trail. And this is something that we talked about at the top of this live show, but your commitment to ball, man. Like, it is becoming more and more important to have a high care factor, not just within your building, but within your administration, within your boosters, your fan base. Are you doing the right things from a modern college football point of view to be successful right now? So with that being said, man, our top 5 teams, let's get right to it. Number 5, man, I went back and forth for a long time. I'll talk about some other schools that we considered putting in this top 5 at the end of this segment. But I have a USC at number 5, and here's why. Say what you want about Lincoln Riley defenses. Every joke, every punchline, all of them, they are all warranted. Say what you want about LA weather. Hey, they got to play, in some snow here coming up. You got to go play at some point in a whiteout game. There's so many things you can say about USC that would honestly be fair at this point in time. But if we're projecting over the course of the next 3 years, here's what I thought was extremely important. You cannot overstate the importance of the quarterback position in college football. You can't do it. You got a quarterback, you got a chance every single week. And Lincoln Riley has proven he will attract and also recruit the top quarterbacks in every single class. Now, I'm not saying every single top quarterback in every single cycle is going to commit to Lincoln Riley. I'm not saying that every single quarterback they get on campus is going to be a Heisman Trophy winner, but I do think the resume and the track record is something we should trust as we move into this projection ranking. Now, again, notice I have them at number 5. I don't have them at number 1. I'm not telling you USC is going to win the Big Ten this upcoming year, but the direction that they're headed, I think, is extremely encouraging if we're talking about what Lincoln Riley did on the defensive staff, what we're talking about with how he recruits the quarterback position, and then also something that maybe goes a little bit under the radar. USC's got a new athletic director. They got a new captain running the ship. Their AD, Jen Cohen, man, from what I've heard, she does not mess around. Does not mess around. She's not here to take pictures and to, have these cool promos get cut. She's there to handle business and to win ball games. That's what she's about. So I love that for USC. And then also we have to talk about this, like LA, you have to believe in modern college football, they're going to attract guys from an NIL opportunity perspective. I think USC is probably playing ball, if not moving towards playing more ball on the NIL side of things and the recruiting side of things. There's a lot of talent in Southern California. We've said it on a previous show, man. There's a lot to win with in LA, in Southern California, from Orange County to San Diego. Like, if you put a fence around that, like, you have a lot of good pieces to win with. There's a lot of guys right now that get offers to go to the Southeast from Southern California, and they end up taking it and having a lot of success. So I'm just saying, keep an eye on USC. Not predicting a conference championship tomorrow, but I have a hard time believing that in the NIL era, with a coach who recruits quarterbacks as well as anybody else, that a big brand like USC is going to stay down. So USC for us at number 5 in our Big Ten projection rankings. Now at number 4, I got Penn State. And a lot of folks are going to kind of smirk and say, James Franklin, he can't win the big one. James Franklin, oh, you mean 10-2 Penn State every single year? You just pencil them in for 10-2? First of all, if 10-2 is the joke you're going for here, 10-2, just so we're all on the same page here, puts you in the top 5 of the Big Ten every single year. So that in itself, I think, proves they're a top 5 team here going forward. Their head coach has won 70% of his games. He's also won the Big Ten. So all this talk around, well, he can't beat Ryan Day. He can't what? He's won the Big Ten before. Hasn't done it super recently, I understand that. But to say that it can't be done when he's already done it, the desire here, if you're a Penn State fan, is for consistency. And so the thing that I'm looking at here for Penn State and why I have them where I do, the whole can't win the big one thing, they said that about Jim Harbaugh too. Remember, it was, he can't beat Ohio State. He can't get over the hump. And then what happened? Jim Harbaugh eventually got some more time, got some more roster talent, was able to develop well, and kind of got his way of doing things totally installed within that roster, within that program. They beat Ohio State 3 times. Won the Big Ten 3 times in a row, won a national title this year. So all that's to say, man, 2024 I think is a massive fork in the road for them. I think there's a tremendous opportunity now with this young talent nucleus from Drew Aller to Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, Abdul Carter. You only have those guys in totality at least guaranteed together for one more season. The window wasn't closed after this season, from 2023 that is. I think that window starts to become a lot smaller after 2024. So this is the year now for you to really make some noise. And if you are able to, let's get crazy. Let's say that Penn State wins the Big Ten in 2024. What does the future of their program look like? Talk about the snowball effect that would have in Happy Valley. Talk about the way that recruits then view James Franklin, the way that Penn State's brand is on fire. I'm not calling it right now, but I am saying you look at the future, I have a hard time putting them outside the top 5 for us, Penn State at number 4. Now at number 3, we got Michigan. And Michigan, obviously, if Jim Harbaugh's still the head coach, they're a lot higher on this list, just so we're all on the same page here. It's fair to have a question mark around who Sharon Moore is going to be as your head coach. A lot of pieces coming back. All right, now the production isn't there like you would hope it would be. Michigan's not necessarily even in the top 80 percentile of the country when it comes to returning production, but there's still a lot of pieces that I think provide some leadership and some direction. We talk about them a lot on the show. Kenneth Grant, Mason Graham, all those names, Donovan Edwards, Will Johnson. You know the names. Will Johnson also, happy to see if you're a Michigan fan that he put the rumors of the Bama transfer to rest. Regardless, my confidence for Michigan, having them as high as they are right now, I have confidence in the fact that a lot of folks that were a part of that national title run are back for another year. And a lot of guys that were a part of that national title run are still on this staff. Not everyone, mind you, but there's some key pieces now that either got promoted internally or whatever it is, got new positions. The bottom line here is I think there is still a championship way of doing things at Michigan. Now it's going to alter. It's going to take another evolution. They're going to find ways to kind of adapt to the Sharon Moore style. But the bottom line of we've won national titles here. We've won a national title here with Sharon Moore on staff. They've seen it done. That kind of gives you a similar roadmap to doing it again. I'm not calling my shot for them to win a national title in the next 3 years, but I think we'd be foolish to just dismiss the fact that Michigan and the momentum they have right now is going to carry over. I fully believe that. And you got a coach, too, just to call a spade here. You talk to people about Sharon Moore, they say, yeah, he probably prioritizes recruiting and was a better recruiter in some ways, even more than Jim Harbaugh was. So Michigan at 3, I feel pretty confident having them at 3, and I think they're going to be a team that's still in that title contention for the Big Ten more often than not. This is a big year now to kind of stabilize optics. Same thing we talk about with Alabama and Kalen DeBoer, hey, what are we going to be now without Nick Saban? They're asking that question. What are we going to be now without Jim Harbaugh? This will be a big year to kind of set the tone for the future. Now at number 2, we got the Ohio State Buckeyes. And there's a lot of feeling around Ryan Day from a fan base level. This is not a me personally level. For me, I've said this many times, Ryan Day is your head coach unless something wildly drastic and unforeseen takes place. Ryan Day is one of the best coaches in college football. That's not just my opinion. That's what his winning percentage indicates as well. So, this is where the projection terminology becomes extra crucial. They will consistently, from this year to next year, have one of the best, if not the best roster in the Big Ten. They have all the commitment that they need from a school perspective, from a powers that be perspective, by nature of who they got through the portal when it comes to NIL as well. And I'll say this too. Everyone says a lot about Ryan Day and how he hasn't beat Michigan the last 3 years. Ryan Day, just so we're all on the same page here, is continuing to evolve as a head coach. He was not a head coach anywhere else before getting the job for Ohio State. So he's kind of learning in the spotlight is the term that we use a lot here. But again, the whole trending upwards with his evolution, Ryan Day, when he took over, was an offensive guy. That's how he made his money. That's who he was. That's why he got the job at Ohio State. What have we seen from Ohio State now recently? Defense struggles. Ryan Day, immediate change. Brings in Jim Knowles. Defense improves. Still not great in the moments you wanted them to be great, rather. They were great statistically, but you still had the issues against Michigan where you weren't able to hold your water in 2022. In 2023, they're a top 10 defense, right? And in 2022, they were really good, but they didn't hold their water how they needed to against Michigan. In 2023, I thought they played well enough in a lot of ways to beat Michigan. That's the way that it felt to me. Now, they didn't make the plays they needed to, but like you're just looking at what Ohio State has been. They went from an offensive football team to winning big games defensively in 2023 against Notre Dame, against Penn State. It was the defense that got it done. You bring back a lot of those guys next year, and you bring in the portal haul that you did. I say portal haul, portal pieces that you did. Will Howard and Quinshon Judkins obviously being the massive ones. Caleb Downs on the defensive side. This year is going to be an explosion for Ohio State. Whether it's fair or not, it will be an explosion for the better. If they accomplish their goals and they win the Big Ten and they win a national championship, like the Ohio State brand is white hot, Ryan Day did it, the narrative totally changes. People are buying Ohio State stock like it's going out of style. If not, there's going to be a lot of rumblings yet again, as foolish as we believe it is, around, well, is Ryan Day the right guy? If not now, then when? Can we get over the hump? I don't believe that's fair. I just think it's our obligation within this show to at least address that narrative, and those rumblings would get louder. I'm not saying there would be changes. I can't stress this enough. I do not believe there should be changes at Ohio State. I think Ryan Day is your guy, but this will be a massive year for them when it comes to how they look in the future. One more thing I want to say here about Ryan Day. I don't get where this narrative comes from that he hasn't done anything at Ohio State. Like, made the college football playoff multiple times. Made the national championship before. They've won the Big Ten. Like, Ryan Day doesn't have a lackluster resume by any stretch of the imagination. It's what's happened in the last couple of years against Michigan that's left people wanting more. So I understand that. I get that. I just want to make sure we're all aligned here. Ryan Day, really good football coach. Should be your head coach at Ohio State, barring something wildly, wildly unforeseen. So, again, projection rankings, the number one team for us, the Oregon Ducks. There is not a stock I would invest more than in Oregon and in Dan Lanning right now. Because they do everything right, man. Like, from a behind closed doors perspective, from a what it takes to win point of view, they've got the trenches. They've been a Big Ten team for a while now by how they play football. They just now are joining the conference and getting the sticker to go with the helmet. Great coordinators. Kenny Dillingham, he goes to Arizona State to be the next head coach there. They bring in Will Stein, bada bing, bada boom. Same kind of result. Tosh Lupoi doing a great job defensively. So that shows me, okay, they can adapt. They can hire more coordinators. They can be effective, and they have to retool that staff, as inevitably I believe they will. That comes with success. Great culture. We said this a lot about Oregon. Like, week in and week out, I felt like Oregon was the same team. Felt like the exact same team. And I'm not saying they had the same success, but like they would have a big win, and it would feel like, okay, well, are they going to have this drop-off now? Are they going to take their eye off the ball? Never saw that. Never saw that. Every single week it was same Oregon, Ducks versus them was their slogan, and we saw that. The Big Ten is unique in the sense that nobody within this conference right now has real credentials to the point where they have a national title to their name. Now, Sharon Moore does, obviously, as a head coach, and I just told you all the credentials Ryan Day has, but I mean, there is no top dog that's like, yeah, hey, he's been to the mountaintop. He's been there, done that. And when I look at Oregon in the future, I think they absolutely could be that team. And going back to what I said, the way that you build a college football team, sometimes you do the right things for a while and don't see the results that you want for a while. It's kind of like building a healthy body of sorts. Like, you might go to the gym 4 days a week and eat right, and then 2 months go by and you're like, man, I don't really know that I feel all that different. Well, then you give 2 more years to that, and over the course of that 2 years, you take those strides and those habits and those practices that you do right behind closed doors that eventually becomes who you are. So I think Oregon right now, just so we're on the same page here, they are doing the right things. They are building the right way. They are applying pressure where successful college football teams apply pressure to, from a commitment level on the powers that be level, like the NIL, the Nike money, all that. Like, that's important. That matters. Dan Lanning, he's getting a lot of yeses. All those things matter. And I really think that Oregon and the way they do things right now is only going to trend upward for them when it comes to their on-field product. So, to recap it for you, our top 5 teams when it comes to our Big Ten projection rankings. At number 5, we've got the USC Trojans. Recruit the quarterback level well. Or the quarterback position level. Recruit the quarterback position well, you're going to be in good shape. At number 4, we got Penn State. 10-2 is a nice joke, but I'm just saying 10-2 is also a really good record, puts you top 5 in the Big Ten. Michigan at number 3. Sharon Moore has a championship way of doing things still intact in Ann Arbor. Ohio State at number 2. Great roster. I believe in Ryan Day. I'm buying stock in the Buckeyes, but I'm buying the most stock in Oregon when it comes to our Big Ten projection rankings. This has been a long segment, so I'll give you a quick note here. A team that I was just so tempted to put at number 5. So tempted. The Wisconsin Badgers. Luke Fickell, the sample size is pretty small for me right now, but I think the way that he's won at lesser places gives me encouragement. I think they're going to have a brand of toughness that is going to be very successful in the Big Ten Conference. And yeah, I'm buying stock in Luke Fickell. I'm buying stock in Wisconsin. If I had to put a team at number 5 over USC, I'd put Wisconsin right there. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.